Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for the next episode in the My Team series. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by a man who has won £75,000 in FPL in the past and is also the host of the very best Fantasy Premier League podcast out there, in my opinion, anyway. Fergi, pleasure to have you on, my friend. How are you doing? How is pre-season treating you?
Really, really good. Thank you, Jack. Really enjoyed the summer. Absolutely buzzing for the new season. So excited with all all the new managers. Being a Spurs fan, we've made some sign-ins, and I didn't play Euros fantasy. And I've been watching a bit of the Olympics, so I've had a really, really good break from football. So absolutely ecstatic for the season to be back and really excited. Got my draft. I got a few question marks still over a few players and things, but excited to share it.
As always, we're going to be building this live on Fantasy Football Hub's incredible My Team tool. It's just so good. If you don't know what it is, don't worry, we'll explain it as we go along. But Fergie, let's start things off. As you said, obviously, we're still a few days away, still a week away or so from the deadline at the time of recording. But who have you got in goal right now?
As it stands, I have gone for Jordan Pickford of Everton. So I think Everton defensively under Dyche, massively improved last year. Lots of clean sheets, especially towards the end of the season, and I can see them just continuing that on. So I do think for 5 million, he's a bit more expensive, obviously, than a few of the others. But I did want a piece of the Everton defence, and I think that Pickford's a good place in there. Another one I'm considering, though. There was some news yesterday that Sam Johnston could potentially be moving from Palace, but there was also rumours that Ramsdale could be joining Palace. Yeah. But if he doesn't, then Henderson at 4.5 looks a good pick as well. But at the moment, I'm on Pickford. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I also like the Henderson pick. But interestingly, in the last video on this channel that I recorded with Holly, where we looked at Fantasy Football Hub's AI team, which is pretty much a team created by the algorithm, looking purely at the data, the analytics behind obviously these Premier League players. Pickford was the goalkeeper of choice for that team. Expected to do really well over the first few game weeks for sure, and good value at 5 million, which you wouldn't necessarily think. I mean, normally I like to go for a 4.5 million and then just a 4, take as much money out of the keepers as I can and throw it into the rest of the team, but. Yeah, why have you gone for Pickford as it stands? Is it just a lack of options right now that are concrete at the 4.5 bracket?
Yeah, I don't think there's many exciting picks at 4.5. I think there's players like Blackburn, as I say, and Henderson who may or may not be the number one. I don't really want to go and spend any more than 5. Obviously, Raya is 5.5. He would be the pick of choice, but that also means that then you can't potentially have 3 outfield Arsenal players as well. So I'm pretty set on Pickford. I do feel he has the potential. If Everton kick on defensively, I do get the feeling that he could be a really, really actually a bargain price at 5 million, judging by the second half of last season and how they defended. So I'm pretty happy actually. With him.
Okay, next goalkeeper. Going to be a sub goalkeeper, I assume.
Yes, 4 million. I've just gone for Fabianski, but it could be any of the 4 million. I don't think at this point that we know of any play in 4 million keeper. I would just advise not to have Turner from Forest. I see he's like really, really popular, but he's definitely not going to be the number one. And he could potentially drop in price if he's kind of mass sold on, early doors. So I would just go for anyone really other than Turner. But yeah, 4 million bench fodder for the time being anyway.
That's a good point, because Turner is more than twice the ownership of Fabianski. So yeah, the potential to lose 0.1, especially at the start of the season when you're going into the first wildcard, that is going to be extremely annoying. So yeah, good advice there. Okay, before we move on to the defense, just tell the people watching right now how good what I'm showing them is. The Fantasy Football Hub, My Team tool, what it is, why we love it so much, and just, everything about it.
Do you know what? It's insane. I've always been, due to my age especially, right? I'm kind of early. Well, I say early 40s. I'm approaching mid 40s. I've been playing fantasy football, for 25, 30 years now, and all this different guises and stuff, and I've just never. I've had to embrace the new world of technology, predicted points, and and really taking on board data and kind of football analysis, as well as just kind of watching the games and make my own decisions as well. I've always been quite precious around, no, I know best. I can see this, and I still think there definitely is a place for that. I watch a lot of football, it definitely informs me and stuff. But what this does, it just puts a completely different spin on everything to do with how you watch football, how it affects your decisions, and the data, and and the analytics that kind of feeds the algorithms, and then feeds the AI, and then what it spits out for you in terms of recommendations and stuff. It just makes you look at things completely differently, and helps your decisions. I do see a lot of kind of narratives around, everyone will have the same team. What's the point? The AI is ruining it. But for me, it just makes me look at things differently. Look at the AI team and look at some of the picks it's made. It just makes you question, well, have I overlooked someone here? Have I missed someone here? And the fact that the AI team last year off the hub beat 99% of all human managers. It beat me. It beat loads of FPL experts last
Yeah.
year. There's something there, and I just think we just embrace it and use it. I'm not saying kind of follow it, do what it says 100%, but where it recommends certain players, where it recommends you take out a player and bring in a player, just kind of ask yourself why, maybe, and it may just make you make a better decision yourself rather than just going with it. So, but it's absolutely fantastic tool. It's so user friendly. All the kind of, as I say, the data, the AI behind it is just insane. It's getting better all the time. It's got all the information you need. Rather than having to go and read hundreds of articles and spend hours and hours listening to podcasts, even though, I do a podcast myself and just do it, it just does it all for you. So, you can literally be on the tube at, 5:30 on a Friday and just click and say, oh, what should I do this week? And it'll just give you a really real sensible recommendation to optimize your team. It's just
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. One feature I love that's new this season as well is if you want to do what we're doing right now, putting Fergie's team in and getting it rated, which you'll see when it's done, you don't have to do it position by position. We're just doing this for the sake of the video to talk through the players. If you just take a screenshot of your team and click upload on Fantasy Football Hub, you will within a few seconds get a team rating percentage, a game week rating percentage, and predicted points for game week 1, which will tell you how you're doing pretty much based on the data. Is your team really good? Is it good? Could it potentially be improved? Yeah, all of that you can do for free actually down below in the description. But if you want even more, all the stuff that Fergie's saying, then it is 50% off in pre-season. And if you don't win your mini league, you will get all your money refunded. Links to all of that down below. But let's carry on, my friend. Let's get into the defense. This is where I don't know what I'm going to do. There's so much money that can be spent. How much money are you spending?
I think I'm probably spending a bit more than a lot of managers on my starting kind of three, but there are a couple of 4 million players we think may start, which do offset those. So I'll just start on those first. Vice of Leicester, we think is nailed on in the defense. Bit of a boring pick. It's an AI pick, but it makes absolute sense. He plays the majority of minutes for Leicester. So if you're ever really, really struggling, you've got someone on your bench who can come on and potentially get a few points. The other one at the moment is Barco from Brighton, who I got a bit excited about towards the end of last year. So he took Estupinian's spot last year for a couple of games, and then he lost it again. But Estupinian's going to be out for the first few games, definitely probably between 3 and 6 matches, and he's been playing quite a lot in his spot in pre-season. He's been on some set pieces as well. So again, for 4 million, I think he's worth the punt, particularly as Vice is there. So you've definitely got a starter in Vice. So Barco is a bit of a punt, but he's there for me. It obviously allows you to spend money elsewhere. I'm going for Munoz at 5 million for Palace.
Ooh.
Speaking to a couple of Palace fans, he just looks the absolute business, apparently, really, really attacking. And I definitely think he's worth the extra 500,000 over Anderson and Mitchell, I think, as well. So I'm really excited about him. I was chatting to a Palace fan last night, and he was just all over him. He's just so attacking. So yeah, really feel with Palace's resurgence under the new manager, the form they showed back end of the season. If they carry on that, he could be a bit of a start at 5 million. I've also gone for, so I'm a Spurs fan, so there is a Spurs player or two in here, but Pedro Porro, a couple of goals in pre-season. I don't know if you saw the goal he scored against Bayern, not just the finish, but the position he took the ball in. It was almost like a number 10, just incredible. Just picked the ball up number 10 position, just banged it from like 25 yards. Really, really think that he can do really well, incredibly attacking. I also would hope that Spurs would tighten up a touch at the back as well. The manager's
Yeah.
had a year with them now. They've got some good defenders, Spurs. So yeah, I think he's a really good value pick at 5.5. I think he's got the potential to be worth a lot more than that. And my final pick, which I think are pretty set, and I'm avoiding Arsenal defenders, even though they're kind of rock solid.
Wow. Okay.
I do think that their fixtures for overall over the kind of first 8 or 9 games are not the best, and they're very expensive. They don't have a lot of attacking potential. They have some, things like headers off corners, but I think a lot of people have forgotten just how good Josko Gvardiol was at the end of last season. And if he picks up a game where he left off, he was in everyone's team, right? He was just insane. Again, almost playing as a midfielder. Goals, assists, and Man City, even though they always seem to concede, their XGC is always pretty decent as well. So I'm pretty sure they'll keep lots of clean sheets, but I'm sure he'll be involved in attacking returns. And I'm guessing as well, due to his form the end of last year, that he's pretty nailed in that team. So yeah, Gvardiol in for me as it stands.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I love the Munoz pick as well. I watched him away at Fulham last year, and he was just completely flying. Some of the positions he was taking up,
This is it.
probably not as like inverted and number 10 role as Porro, but he was just always there in the box, back post. Just yeah, his route to points is just by his positioning. I think he is sort of in that same grain as the sort of the flying attacking fullbacks that we've seen
Yeah,
over the past
definitely.
few years. Yeah, really good pick that. He's a player that I would love to get to as well. I've had a Palace defender in my team a bit, but I just can't find the 0.5. But maybe I need to go there. The only other omission really then is Trent. You've talked about the Arsenal defenders. No Trent. How
Yeah.
come?
He is expensive, and obviously we'll come to the rest of my team now. I've avoided Liverpool altogether. Actually, bit of a spoiler alert, and it's
Oh,
and it's
okay.
only because I just don't know what we're gonna get. It looks like they're fielding a similar-ish team and formation to last year. I don't think Trent has got many, if any, minutes yet. I don't think in pre-season either. We don't know where he's going to play. We don't know where he's going to play right back. I think Bradley played the other night and played really well. Bradley, could even potentially replace Trent kind of longer term. If he kept to his form from last year, don't know where Trent is even going to play. So while I think that Trent could do really well, I think there's also a nagging doubt that just to go for players that are kind of settled in their teams and almost we know what we're going to get. So I do think Trent could maybe feature. And if I could find the money, I would, if there was a sudden massive injury to someone and someone available, he could find their way into my team. But I'm letting him go as it stands just because I don't know what we're going to get from Liverpool. And there are really good alternative options.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. That is why I'm similar to you. I'm not sure about. We'll come on to the midfield now. I'm not sure about Salah, but yeah. So let's just start with him. Not in your team for similar reasons.
He is, yeah. So I looked at a couple of his heat maps from his recent friendlies, and I know he scored last week in a friendly, but in his heat maps he does look to be playing quite wide on that right. It's always a thing that you can see with Salah when he's confident or not. When he's playing confidently, and he always gets inside, gets into that striker spots and in at the far post and very, very central. He does seem to be playing quite wide on the right. And again, it's just a thing of having 12.5 million, especially when there's alternatives. You look at alternatives like Saka, Palmer, Son, Foden, all these players who can score, who can kind of match him, all for sort of 2.5, 3 million less. New manager, again, I'm sure Salah will score goals. I'm sure he'll score points. He's another year older. I'm just not convinced at the moment that he's going to be able to replicate what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years, where he's played for the same manager, every single time. So like I say, I'm not saying for 1 minute that he definitely will drop off, but I think it's fair to say we can potentially expect a slight drop off, and even if we do expect a slight one, I think there are other players that can take his place in our team, and we can spread the money across the team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, we have such a luxury of amazing midfielders this year, which is
Absolutely.
so good. All priced pretty well as well, which is just is great to see so many options. We can go in so many different ways. So let's get into your midfield then. No Salah, but who have you got?
So as my premium, I've gone for Saka. He's
I like it.
back this week for Arsenal. Got some minutes last night, I believe, and he's just a stalwart. Kind of FPL stalwart at the moment. Just leave him in. So I wildcarded him out last year in Gameweek 24, and he went and scored back-to-back braces, which effectively ruined my season.
Oh,
He's on penalties. He's just one of those players. He's just he's so consistent. Plays for a really attacking team, and I just think he's a kind of player. Just leave him in. I think for 10 million, he's still value when you compare it against Salah, and yeah, he's going to be probably in my team as long as he's fit and playing every week. And Arsenal are playing well for the majority of the season, I think.
yeah.
Next one down, I've gone for Anthony Gordon. Again, I think a lot of people, especially at home, forget what he was like last year. Every time Newcastle played at home, you just saw all the time Gordon assist or Gordon goal or then Gordon assist again. He was just an animal. And 7.5 million again. I think I personally think with the fixtures Newcastle have got as well, really good fixtures. The partnership you got with Isak, and the way that Newcastle, a pretty settled attack, settled team. No Europe this year.
Hmm.
He's been reasonably fresh. He didn't get many minutes at the Euros. He's a kind of I think he's a bit of a shoo-in my team, at the moment, Gordon. I really, really like him. I've gone for Eze. He's a bit of an AI pick still. I know he's a talent for the team. He's going to be on free kicks. He's a fantastic, wonderful player. Maybe on penalties as well. Just the fact he plays for Palace. I don't think he's had many minutes in pre-season. I'm not massively convinced, but I do think for his price of 7 million, I think it's a nice pick. Slots well into my team anyway in terms of the structure and price point. So I'm happy with him there. I'm taking a bit of a punt on Nkunku, but I would say from what I've seen in pre-season and the manager's comment, the manager seems to absolutely love him.
Yeah.
He seems like one of very few players, in all fairness, in the game who could potentially have been significantly underpriced. Want to get on him really, really early. Tough first game, obviously against City. But if he plays in that front three for Chelsea, bear in mind Palmer is 10.5. Palmer, I guess, may miss the first game of the season or may get kind of subbed early or something. I think Nkunku is great value in there as well. So that's my kind of main four midfielders as it stands. And depending on what I do with Pickford, if I do save the 500,000 to go for Henderson, I can pump up my 4.5 midfielder. So at the moment,
Okay.
I've gone for Franca, who I believe I want to say Brazilian, um, who Palace signed last year for quite a hefty fee. He's only a youngster. There's not much going on the 4.5 million sort of radar at all, but apparently came across as a little bit of a teenage superstar. So
Okay.
if he gets any minutes at 4.5, great. If not, if I do save the 500,000, I'll probably go for Rodgers of Villa. I think, especially as I spoiler alert, don't have Watkins up front. He would be a really nice piece of that Villa attack. So yeah, that's my current midfield, which I'm reasonably happy with. No, obviously no Salah, no Son, no Palmer. It's all a bit scary, but you just can't have everyone, can you?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, interestingly, you're a Tottenham fan, but Saka over Son. I don't know where your allegiance is lying there. Obviously, we take out our own clubs as much as we can when doing FPL. But yeah, I mean, North London rivalry there. It's pretty mental.
It is, but I would say we haven't heard the rest of my team yet, so
Wow.
maybe could answer there with that one. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
leave that little cliffhanger for you.
I will hold fire then. Okay, yeah. The rest of it I like a lot. I mean, I love Saka as a pick as well. I think this is going to be very similar to my midfield. To be honest, I'm also looking at
Okay.
not going with Salah.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, the only problem with no Salah is you just look at 4 and 5, and it's that is going to be. I mean, the first few Ipswich away, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Even Brentford at home, I'm okay with because we're captaining Haaland. It's more 4 and 5 where I'm thinking that could be very very scary. But who knows? I mean, it could wild
If
card
you say
early.
if you say that this is it, well, with the changes now, if you manage to save a transfer in game
Yeah,
week 1, 2, and 3, you could potentially go in and wildcard in three, into 4 with 3 transfers in the bank. I mean, the game has changed now fundamentally in terms of that. I think everyone needs to get to grips with how of kind of what that means. But the fact that you can wildcard and go into game week 4 or 5 with 3 free
yeah.
transfers still is a game changer. It means we can be a lot more aggressive and really attack these early fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And yeah, and Kunku and Eze, I think are very, very nailed in my team. And Gordon as well. As you said, people have forgotten he's absolute animal at home.
He was incredible last year. He was insane. So yeah, he's definitely in my team. I always do it. It's funny. I always do an end of season podcast and review. And you look at the players, and then you all the learnings you've kind of got and stuff, and then by the time the new season rolls around, we start trying to think a bit differently and
Yeah,
start, but actually, players like Gvardiol and Gordon were insane at the end of last year. They were in everyone's team, and yeah, and keeping them in.
that's a very good point actually, because obviously it's a new season, but realistically, these guys are they're the same players. A lot of them are playing for exactly the same teams. Very, very similar players around them. A lot of them the same manager. There's not
Exactly
too
that.
much that can change. Obviously, we have different value players that
Yeah.
come to the fore and are more prevalent in FPL teams year on year. But there are stalwarts that are often look at Salah for example that have been there for years and nothing's really changed. Saka's getting towards that sort of mark as well. Who knows?
So
Gordon might be too. Yeah.
yeah, agree, definitely. Less well if he does move because
Yes.
have heard rumors he'd be moving. Obviously, a bit of a rethink then. But at the moment, while he's looks nailed on in that team for Newcastle, he's definitely in my team.
All right, let's get into it. I'm excited now. Who have you got up front?
Well, I've got Haaland, which is
Of course.
obviously no surprise at all, especially with the omission of Salah. I was on Haaland anyway before he scored the hat trick against the team he's going to be playing in week 1,
Yeah.
and Chelsea since played again and conceded, and there's another 4 goals or 3 goals, and
Uh,
they look a bit all over the place at the moment. So I just can't. It's that game week 2 fixture home to Ipswich. I mean, he tends to take the you know, lesser teams to the sword like he did with Luton last year. He scored 5 against Luton.
in the
Um,
cup, yeah, wasn't
in the
it?
cup, yeah, I'm not, no, he's in the
Was
league.
it? Was
I'm
that in
sure
the
he's in
league?
the league. I
Was
think,
that
I
in the
think it
league? He
was,
scored 5. Oh
it
my
was the
goodness!
league.
I remember. I
I may be
remember in
wrong
the
there.
cup against Luton, he scored. I think it was something like 5-2 or something, and he scored 4 goals, all assisted by De
I may,
Bruyne.
I may be
But
wrong
I
then,
mean,
but
it's not as if he doesn't bat. No, he might have been. My memory is not great. I mean,
yeah,
he did put, as you said, a lot of the weaker teams that yeah, you'd expect him to, but you have to then go out and do it to the sword.
if he doesn't score heavily against those, you've just been
Yeah,
incredibly fortunate, I think. And I always like to put myself in a position to, cover off the kind of needs and essentials, and then try and find those extra points from elsewhere. And I think for that, Haaland gave me two. It's just a needless risk so early in the season, for me personally. But he's not in the AI team, and that's something I have been looking at and kind of wondering why. And it's just because, even though Haaland could do incredibly well in game week 2, there's, other players we mentioned, Salah, Saka, Son, whatever else could all do equally as well and get, over game weeks 1 and 2. So I think that's the reason he's not in there. But I kind of find it hard not to put him in. It may change, but unless something significant happens in the next week, he's going to be in my team. My captain for game week 1, I
yeah, I
think, is
like
going
it.
to
I
be
like it.
Isak.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, I just think what a player. He's just absolutely fantastic, and I think, and this is another reason why I'm not going with Salah, because I think Salah's is probably the best alternative captain away to Ipswich game week 1, but I think Isak's a worthy opponent in his own right, just because he's not priced as a premium. I think he actually is probably a premium FPL asset now. I think even if he was 9.5, I think I'd still be buying him. So the fact he's 8.5, I think is incredibly cheap. And my third spot, so this is the one I was kind of touching on earlier.
Before you say who this was, I was really struggling to work out who this might be, and I think I've clocked it now, just looking at how much money you've got left. But yeah, who is it?
Well, it's a transfer waiting
Yeah,
waiting to
okay.
happen potentially. But if this happens, being a Spurs fan, if Dominic Solanke goes to Spurs as their number nine, probably on penalties in that Harry Kane sort of mold, he's no Harry Kane, right? We know that, but he will be taking up his positions. He's an exceptional finisher. Look at what he did last year at Bournemouth, absolutely insane. And a mid-table team. If he goes to Spurs 7.5, he is. I am absolutely all over him. So he's probably a bit of a placeholder at the moment because even if he does sign, he may not kind of play in game week one. Um, but for 7.5 million, he's in. I love that front line. I mean, there's goals like Haaland at City, Isak at Newcastle, Solanke at Spurs. If Solanke, if it doesn't happen, or if I feel I may need to bring him in a week or two later, there's a few other players I'm interested in. Obviously, there's I think the AI pick of Muniz is popular. João Pedro is popular. I think I fancy Chris Wood at the moment as my favoured third forward. I don't think he's their number one, but if he gets the first 2 or 3 games, I think he could do really well with the fixtures. So that's why I've purposely put that 7.5 million placeholder in there. So I've got enough for Solanke. But if it doesn't happen, I can just downgrade really, really quickly and jump on any of those players. So that's why I've picked him there. But if he goes to Spurs, mate,
Yeah,
wow,
wow,
let's go some goals.
that could be unbelievable. Yeah, 19 goals last year for Bournemouth.
But Bournemouth, imagine what he
Exactly,
could do with these Spurs players
incredible.
feeding
Yeah,
him. So
no, I like it a lot. Solanke, I've not even thought about, but yeah, if he moves and he looks like he could be starting the season, could be unbelievable. Isak, of course, and Haaland as well. Yeah, as I've said in multiple videos, I think if the first two fixtures were flipped and he was playing Ipswich at home in Game Week 1, he would be in literally everyone's team.
agree.
And you can't get to him if you don't have him at the start. I mean, you're not going to
That's
leave
it.
loads of money in the bank to go from a Watkins to him or something like that. It's just not going to happen. So I think you got to look at it that way. But there we go. That is the team. Now let's do the fun thing and see how this team rates. Okay, so here we go. This is the team. Wow, it's got to say it's got a very high team rating.
Really?
Now you said you'd captain Isak.
I would captain Isak in game week 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll make him captain. There we go. It's got 0.1 predicted points fewer than Haaland. But
Okay.
much for muchness, really.
Yeah.
So here it is. 96% team rating.
96.
96%. It really is phenomenal.
Wow.
96%
That's
team
incredible. Since Haaland's not in the AI team.
rating. I know. Maybe that just shows that the no Salah draft, no Haaland draft actually are very similar and really. I mean, we've seen it. Oh, look, Fergie's delighted. He's absolutely delighted.
I'm bouncing with that. 96%. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very good. And yeah, some even more good news for you is that puts you at the top of our leaderboard for all
Please.
guests that we've had on the channel so
Please.
far. And
Really?
there have been some legendary guests.
Come on.
Last year's FPL winner, that video has over 110,000 views now. And
Wow.
you've beaten him.
Oh my goodness me.
Bakar,
That's
FPL
that-
Salah, Rich Clark. I could go on. You've beaten them all. Me. I mean, think me, for
Well,
goodness sake.
I mean,
Yeah.
wow. I'm buzzing with that. I'm really excited. Yeah. Well, yeah. And even though I'm obviously heavily involved with the hub and stuff, I've looked at the kind of AI teams I mentioned earlier. My team looks nothing like the AI team, so
No.
I'm really surprised actually that it's rated that highly. But hopefully going into the season, then if it rates that highly, I get a really good start and jump on from there. Because I haven't had a good finish for a couple of seasons. Keep making these rash moves, but hopefully between having a good start and the AI kind of helping me in terms of keeping me in line, have a good season. So yeah, really, really excited. Thank you, Jack. You've absolutely made my day there. You really have made my day.
No, I mean, and you're right as well with what you say. In the last video, guys, if you saw, uploaded yesterday with Holly looking at the AI team, it's not similar to this at all, really. I mean, player by player, I'm trying to think back, but I mean, Munoz nowhere near it, and Kunku wasn't near it. That Solanke was nowhere near it. There was no Haaland. It had Salah, as you just said. Porro, I don't think was in there either. It's a big difference, and I think it just shows that they really have got the pricing right this year. There are a lot of ways you can go with this. So there's not there's not one correct template that's going to be formed. That this is the highest team rating that we've seen so far. However, I will say there's still 4% room for improvement. So let's have a look at your AI recommended transfers before we round things off to see if we could potentially improve things and if you'd like to do that. But before that, guys, try and click the link in the description down below and in the pinned comment. You can do this for free. Upload your own team. Just chuck a screenshot in. Takes 2 seconds into the My Team tool and see if you can beat Fergie's team rating percentage of 96. It's going to be a struggle.
I didn't have that last year. I had something like, I think I had 88 last year, 87 last year. So I'm really, really excited for that one.
But guys, click the link in the description. Just do it. Completely free. Takes 10 seconds. And then comment down below. Did you beat him or not? Very interesting. But yeah, let's round things off by looking at your AI recommended transfers. Okay, Fergie, I have your AI recommended transfers on screen right now. Guys, if you would like to see your own personalized AI recommended transfers, like the ones you can see on screen right here, you get 3 at the start of the season, as we can see, which Fergie can't see just yet. So this is between me and you guys. Can't see them just yet. I'm just letting you sort of simmer there, and give it a second. Then you can sign up right now to Fantasy Football Hub. Click the link once again and get your own AI recommended transfers, and these will be with your team, personalized to your team throughout the entire season, week on week, not just right now. After Gameweek 1, boom, there you go. AI recommended transfers. As Fergie said, you're commuting to work, you've forgotten about the deadline. Oh, what do I do? Go on here. It takes a few minutes. And if not, if you want to take it, if you're more into it, you haven't forgotten about the deadline, you're really into your team and you just want a little bit of help to see what the data is saying, this is also great. I mean, we're FPL nerds. That's kind of what I use it for. So there we go. Anyway, I'll stop you waiting. I'm not sure you're gonna like these.
Well, like I can guess. Well, I don't know if I can guess one. Is it Haaland out or not?
Haaland's staying in.
Really stays in.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, this is we have to say that.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a 96% team rating. It can't get much better.
Wow.
But the first one I'll tell you is SOLANKE out for Rodrigo Muniz.
I can understand that. I do think Muniz is a really good pick. I really do. I think Fulham's fixtures are really good. If Solanke doesn't sign for Spurs, he is one I'm contemplating. I say either Muniz would or João Pedro, depending on fitness of other players and things. But Muniz, I think he's got the number 9 shirt for Fulham now, nailed in their team. I think he's a really good pick. So I'm actually fine with that one. That does release 1.5 million, which I'm interested in.
Yeah, obviously you've said it depends on whether SOLANKE goes to Tottenham or not. But just looking at the predicted points here, they're very, very similar. I don't think really that the AI would say that one is necessarily way better than the other.
Yeah,
it's more, as you just said, it releases 1.5 million, and with that cash, you could upgrade Munoz to Gabriel and Pedro Porro to Robertson.
Okay. I think they're sensible picks. So I'm not a sensible and safe FPL player.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who know me on this channel kind of know that. I'm very much got my eye for the to try and get that real edge. And I think that in Munoz and Porro, they've got that attacking intent. Bear in mind though, we have to, how many goals are they actually going to score over the season, right? Even if they score 5 goals, you see that as an incredible season.
Yeah.
But Arsenal Gabriel, he was insane last year. Lots of attacking returns. I've got no arguments with him. I've got to be honest. And Robertson, actually, I was looking at Robertson this morning because I noticed he was kind of really high up in the predictions, and he finished the season really well. I think the last 6 or 7 games, he played 90 nearly every game, apart from the game he got injured. And his XA actually was really high as well. He was really attacking. So even though, like you said, I say I don't like the picks. I think they're very sensible. I don't think there's anything wrong with the picks. I prefer mine because I think they're a touch more exciting, I suppose. And obviously you have to play your own style in FPL as well. You don't want to play sensible if it's going to bore you. But those picks are incredibly sensible, and I can see why they've done them, really.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I like Gabriel a lot. Robertson, yeah, I kind of forgotten that at the back end of last season. Obviously,
he was flying.
He was, and this isn't really taking into account the fact that we don't know exactly how Liverpool are going to set up, which is the entire reason why you're having the Liverpool players. But that is where the human sort of side comes into it. But there you go. Food for thought anyway. And yeah, once again, guys, if you would like your own, then go down and click the link in the description. Fergie, thank you very much. You are the new leader on the leaderboard. I mean, it's going to be very hard to beat. I'm not sure that we're gonna beat it. We've only got 5, 6, 7 more team reveals to go.
I've got to win something, mate, haven't I? I've got to win something. I won't be winning the Hub League, so I've got to win something. So
you've won a lot of money in fantasy games before, so I mean, you've done that.
Fair.
But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, guys. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of The Green Arrow. It genuinely is my favorite fantasy Premier League podcast. Before I was affiliated or doing any sort of FPL work or videos myself, it was the podcast I watched. I am being 100% serious there. I really enjoyed it. I still do.
We've got Bakar on Thursday this week as our guest, and ahead of game week 1 next Thursday, the 15th, 24 hours before the deadline, we have got Jonas, the reigning FPL winner, live on Green Arrow with myself and Rich Clark, who is I think he's like the second best ever manager in England. So we've got a reigning FPL champion, the reigning FPL champion, and the second best ever manager in England talking with me next week. On fantasy football. So don't miss the Green Arrow. It'll be a really good show.
There we go. Make sure you're subscribed, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.